It finally happened the moment nobody saw coming. T.I., the self-proclaimed king of the South, the man who's built an empire on bravado and slick talk, just broke down in public. And not just a few tears, we're talking full-on emotional collapse right in front of the cameras. During what fans are now calling the most heartbreaking farewell in hip-hop, Family History. King Harris, the son who went from rapper to rebel to reality TV headline, has officially left the building. And T.I.? The once unshakable father figure who survived beef, scandals, and Twitter backlash, suddenly looked like a man watching his own legacy walk away. The internet can't decide what's more shocking, the fact that T.I. finally showed real emotion, or that King's farewell speech hit harder than any diss track this year. And you already know, social media's been eating this up like Thanksgiving leftovers. Memes, theories, fake leaks, you name it. Everyone's got a take, but this wasn't just a goodbye. This was the emotional climax of years of chaos, betrayal, and broken pride. And for once, there were no punchlines. Just pain, cameras, and one of the rawest moments this family's ever shown. Grab your popcorn. Because this story, it's different. The internet didn't just wake up that morning, it erupted. Out of nowhere, timelines filled with shaky cell phone footage, TikTok duets, and captions screaming, "T.I. breaks down?" The same T.I. who built an entire career on ego, discipline, and smooth-talking control, now looking like a man whose world just collapsed in front of flashing cameras. And the reason? His son, King Harris, the one fans used to call the next generation of trouble man, the same kid who turned family dinners into viral chaos, was officially gone. The farewell wasn't just an event. It was a breaking point. It was the climax of years of public feuds, hidden resentment, and pride stretched too thin to repair. To understand how deep this runs, you gotta rewind. T.I. and Tiny's household wasn't just a family. It was a dynasty wrapped in dysfunction and diamond chains. From the family hustle to Expeditiously, every inch of their lives had been televised, monetized, and scrutinized. King, growing up in that chaos, never really stood a chance at normal. He was the loud one, the rebel, the one always pushing buttons. Fans remember the viral clips, King yelling at restaurant staff, mouthing off to his parents, storming out mid-conversation. The internet roasted him for acting entitled, but what they didn't see was the deeper story. A kid suffocating under the shadow of a legend. T.I. built a brand out of control. From his lyrics to his interviews, it was always about authority. I run my household. I teach my kids discipline. I'm the man of my empire. But King? He was the first one to look him in the eye and say, "I'm not you." And that defiance grew. Over time, their relationship became less father and son and more like two rappers beefing in the same family group chat. Tiny tried to mediate, she always does, but even she couldn't calm the storm brewing between her husband and her son. Then came the infamous live stream. Remember that one? King went on Instagram, shirtless, ranting about how he grew up in the trenches, while T.I. popped up laughing in the background, calling him delusional. The clip went viral in minutes. Memes everywhere. People joked that King was living in a mansion with Wi-Fi and still trying to claim street credibility. But behind the laughter, there was a fracture, a deep one. That moment wasn't just entertainment. It was embarrassment. For T.I., a man obsessed with image, it was public humiliation. For King, it was rebellion televised. Fast forward to this week, when the farewell happened. According to insiders, King had been planning to leave Atlanta for a while, wanting to start over, possibly in Los Angeles or Houston, away from the constant comparisons and camera flashes. His relationship with his father had reached a point of no return. He wanted distance from fame, from family expectations. And from T.I.'s shadow, the event itself was meant to be small, a quiet family gathering. No press, no reality show crew, just loved ones saying goodbye. But, of course, in true Harris fashion, someone leaked it. The clip that shook the internet starts mid-sentence. King's standing there, visibly nervous, holding a piece of paper, probably a speech he wrote. His voice cracks as he says, "I just need space to grow. To figure out who I am without everyone telling me who I'm supposed to be." Tiny looks emotional, holding her hands together like she's praying this doesn't turn into another argument. The room is quiet. Even the background noise feels tense. Then the camera pans to T.I., silent, arms crossed, trying to look composed. But it's written all over his face, regret. King continues, "I know I've made mistakes. But I can't be the man you want me to be if I don't even know who I am yet. Boom, that's when you hear it, the faint sniffle. The deep exhale, the tremor in T.I.'s jaw, for a man who's fought the law, beefed with rappers, and preached masculinity his entire career. This was uncharted territory. He wasn't angry. He wasn't dismissive, he was broken. He tries to speak, but his voice gives out. He wipes his face. Then, with a shaky tone, he says, "I just want my son to win. That's all I ever wanted." That line, those 8 words, they detonated online like a grenade. Within hours, hashtags like #TBreaksDown, #KingHarrisFarewell, and #FamilyHustleFinale were trending everywhere. Fans were posting reaction videos crying, saying things like, "This is the first time I've seen Tip look human." And while most people sympathized, there were others, the trolls, the cynics, the self-proclaimed culture critics, calling it performative. Too late now, one tweet read, racking up 50,000 likes. "You can't preach discipline your whole life and cry when your son don't want your script." But this wasn't a movie. This was decades of tension unraveling in 45 seconds of shaky footage. Rumors started swirling fast. Some insiders claimed King told friends privately that he couldn't handle being under surveillance 24/7. Others said the pressure of living up to T.I.'s legacy made him resent the entire industry. Meanwhile, T.I. reportedly locked himself away after the video went viral. No posts, no interviews, no public appearances. Fans noticed he even turned off his Instagram comments, something he never does. The last post on his page? A motivational quote from 2 days before the farewell that read, "Don't let pride stop you from doing what's right." Poetic, right? Like the universe had already written his lesson before he lived it. Tiny, ever the quiet force, didn't say much publicly either. She just posted a heart emoji under a fan's comment saying, "A mother's love never stops." It was subtle, but everyone knew what it meant. She was heartbroken but supportive, and that's the thing. About this moment, it wasn't just another celebrity meltdown. It was generational drama meeting generational healing, all in one viral clip, because deep down this wasn't about fame or ego. It was about a father realizing his control doesn't equal love. It was about a son realizing independence doesn't have to mean disrespect. And somewhere in between the tears and silence, there was truth, messy, raw, unfiltered truth. But if you thought the story ended there, oh no. That was just the calm before the next emotional hurricane, because by the next morning, the internet had receipts, reactions, and theories, and everyone wanted to know, was this really a farewell? Or the beginning of a family fracture that can't be repaired? And what T.I. did next? Let's just say the man who built his image on toughness finally showed us what real vulnerability looks like. And it sent shockwaves through the culture. By the time the sun came up the next morning, the internet had turned the Harris family farewell into the emotional Super Bowl of 2025. Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, every platform was ablaze. You couldn't scroll for more than 2 seconds without seeing T.I.'s tear-streaked face edited next to King Harris' walkout moment with captions like, "The prince has left the kingdom." It was chaos, the kind of chaos that only happens when a celebrity's real life finally outshines their curated one. And in the middle of it all, T.I., Mr. Expeditiously himself, had gone silent. No rants, no statements, no witty clapbacks. The man who could lecture a brick wall into submission suddenly had nothing to say. Of course, that silence only made the speculation worse. Blogs started publishing exclusive sources, claiming T.I. was emotionally broken, regretting past mistakes, and trying to reach his son privately. Fans began dissecting every old interview, looking for signs of a strained relationship. Clips resurfaced of T.I. criticizing King's behavior, calling him spoiled, and publicly embarrassing him on the family hustle. One viral post summed it up perfectly. T.I. raised a reflection of himself, and now he's mad at the mirror. And that's where the conversation shifted, from gossip to generational wounds. Suddenly, everyone was an armchair therapist. You had people writing essays about Black fatherhood and masculinity, others debating whether T.I.'s tough love parenting backfired, and then the wild ones claiming this is all promo for a new show. But what really blew the situation open was King's reaction. Because baby, King didn't stay quiet. Oh no, he went live. it. Oh no, he went live. Just when things were starting to cool off, King jumped on Instagram Live with the energy of someone who's been holding receipts and emotions for way too long. The live started innocent enough, a few jokes, a little small talk, but then someone in the comments mentioned T.I. King paused. He looked straight at the camera and said, "Look, I love my pops. But I gotta be real, it's hard to love someone who never let you be yourself." Boom. Internet reignited. He went on to talk about how being a Harris was both a blessing and a curse, how every mistake he made became headline news, and how people never saw the pressure behind the privilege. The most quoted line of that live? "Everybody wanted me to be T.I.'s son. Nobody cared about being king." That single sentence hit harder than any lyric he's ever written. It was the rawest, most vulnerable thing he'd ever said, and it resonated. TikTok flooded with edits of King's quote over moody piano music. Fans called it the pain of a kid who grew up famous before he could grow up at all. And just like that, the public opinion began to shift. Suddenly, King wasn't the spoiled brat from TV anymore. He was the misunderstood son of a man who'd built a fortress of pride and called it fatherhood. But it didn't stop there. Because hours later, a clip surfaced from a podcast interview T.I. had done a few months earlier, an interview everyone ignored when it dropped. In it, he'd said, "Sometimes I gotta be hard on my kids. I can't have them thinking life's a game just because I made it." Now, out of context, that line sounds fine. But paired with King's live, it sounded like emotional dictatorship. Fans were quick to pounce. "This right here is why King left," one tweet read. "You can't raise your kids like they your soldiers." Every major outlet jumped in. The Shade Room, Hollywood Unlocked, Neighborhood Talk, all of them posted side-by-side clips of T.I.'s old alpha dad speeches versus his emotional breakdown during the farewell. The captions were brutal, from control to collapse. "When the king meets his crown, T.I. learns what real hustle is." Even celebrities began reacting. Meek Mill tweeted, "This generation don't want control. They want connection." Snoop Dogg commented on Tiny's post with a single word, "respect." And Boosie, because of course he did, uploaded a full video saying, "Man, y'all better hug y'all sons. This fame stuff fake as hell." Then came the memes. Oh, the memes. The internet will cry with you one second and clown you the next. One viral meme had a fake movie poster titled "Expeditiously, A Father's Tears," with T.I. on the cover looking heartbroken. Another had King walking away from a mansion with the words, "Leaving the Empire. Coming 2025. But while everyone was laughing online, behind the scenes, things got even messier. Insiders close to the family claimed T.I. had reached out multiple times after the live texting, calling, even showing up at King's studio unannounced. But King allegedly didn't respond. Instead, he posted a cryptic message on his story. "Some lessons gotta be learned in silence." That sent fans spiraling. Everyone wanted to know, was this a full-on estrangement? Was the father-son bond completely broken? And most importantly, was this really farewell, or was King just creating distance to heal? Meanwhile, Tiny was doing damage control the best way she knows how, subtle, quiet, strategic. She posted a throwback photo of the family from happier times with the caption, "No matter what happens, love always wins." That post racked up nearly 1 million likes in 24 hours. People flooded her comments with empathy, "You're the glue holding this family together." Others turned it into a debate, arguing whether T.I. was too prideful to apologize or if King was too rebellious to understand tough love. But just when everyone thought they'd seen it all, an unreleased snippet from one of King's songs leaked online, and it sent chills through the fandom. The lyrics went, "You told me be strong. I became stone, you taught me right, but left me alone. You said the world cold, but so were you / now I'm out here trying to find my truth." It wasn't subtle. It was a lyrical gut punch straight at his father. Pain turned into poetry. Within hours, #farewell to the throne started trending, and people were calling it the generational anthem of 2025. Every reaction video, every podcast, every comment section echoed the same sentiment. This ain't about fame anymore. This is about a son trying to survive a father's expectations. And through it all, T.I. stayed quiet, which only made things worse. People started saying silence was guilt. that he didn't know how to face the consequences of his own parenting style, that the King of the South couldn't handle the one crown he truly earned, fatherhood. For years, T.I. dominated rap, business, and even politics with his big personality and bigger ego. But now none of that mattered, because no amount of hit records or platinum plaques could drown out the sound of his son walking away, and just when you thought it couldn't get any more emotional, T.I. finally broke the silence. Late that night, he posted a simple black screen with white text. It read, "Every man has his moment when the mirror stops lying." No caption. No hashtags. Just that dot, and instantly, everyone knew the king had finally been humbled. But was it too late to fix what fame had already fractured? The world was about to find out. Because if you thought this family's story was over, no, this was just the calm before the heartbreak heard round the culture dot by the end of the week. It wasn't just a story, it was a cultural reckoning. The clip of T.I. crying King's farewell speech, and that black screen quote had morphed into something bigger than gossip. This was about pride, parenting, and pain colliding in real time. The King of the South had finally been stripped of his armor, and the world was watching the man underneath dot in Atlanta. Radio stations wouldn't stop talking about it. V103 aired emotional call-ins from fans who'd grown up watching the family hustle. One caller said, "T.I. raised a generation on strength, but King taught us it's okay to cry." That one line went viral by itself. Think pieces were dropping faster than mixtapes. One headline from The Source read, "When Kings Fall, T.I.'s breakdown and the death of the hip-hop dad archetype." And that's exactly what this moment became, the shattering of an image. For decades, T.I. was the embodiment of dominance. Whether in rap, reality TV, or business, he never showed weakness. But now that mask was gone. His tears didn't just humanize him. They rewrote his entire legacy. Still, the internet had questions, a lot of them. Where did King go? Was this permanent? Would they reconcile? Fans started tracking King's movements like he was a celebrity fugitive. Photos surfaced of him in Los Angeles, hoodie up, AirPods in, walking with a quiet confidence. That screamed freedom.tmz claimed he'd moved in with a producer. Friend to work on new music and focus on peace. Other outlets ran with wild theories, everything from King's signed solo deal to T.I. secretly funding his sons. Independence. Nobody really knew what was true. But that didn't stop the speculation factory from working overtime. Meanwhile, T.I. finally broke his silence, this time in full, during a surprise appearance on Earn Your Leisure. It wasn't a tearful speech or a PR stunt. It was raw, quiet, and unfiltered. He said, "Sometimes you raise your kids to be better than you, and when they actually do that, it hurts. I thought being a man meant keeping control. But watching King walk away taught me being a father means letting go." Boom, the internet froze. No fancy vocabulary. No, expeditiously. Just raw truth. That one quote became the headline everywhere. Fans who'd been dragging him for weeks suddenly flooded his comments with love and empathy. "You finally get it," one wrote. "Growth looks good on you," said another, even Tiny, who had been silent through the storm, finally posted a message that melted everyone's heart. It was a family photo, not a recent one, but from years ago. Young King in the middle, T.I. with his arm around him, both smiling like the world hadn't touched them yet. The caption? "No matter how far we go, we'll always be connected by love." It wasn't just nostalgia. It was hope, the quiet kind that whispers, maybe this story isn't over. But let's be real, the internet can't stay sentimental for long. Within hours, TikTok remixers were turning T.I.'s emotional quotes into motivational audios. "Sometimes you raise your kids to be better than you." Layered over sad trap beats with people using it to caption their own family dramas. It became a trend, the letting go challenge. That's when you know a moment has transcended celebrity gossip, when it becomes meme and medicine at the same time. Still, King wasn't done making statements either. A week after the podcast aired, he uploaded a teaser for a new song titled My Own Crown. The caption read, "No hate, just healing." It was calm, mature, chillingly poetic. Fans immediately pointed out that he sounded more grounded, more focused, like he had finally found what he'd been searching for all along. Peace. And ironically, it was the distance from his father that brought him closer to himself. father that brought him closer to himself. T.I. reposted the teaser with 3 words. Proud of you, son. No emoji. No flair, just that. And somehow that tiny gesture hit harder than any public apology ever could. The comment sections went nuclear. This is growth. The full circle moment we needed. Atlanta wins. Even hip-hop legends weighed in. Snoop commented, that's how real men evolve. Killer Mike called it a generational breakthrough. Charlemagne said on The Breakfast Club, for once the internet didn't destroy, it healed. But not everyone was ready to forgive and forget. Some fans still held T.I. accountable for years of public control, questioning whether this was genuine change or strategic redemption. It's easy to cry when your reputation's on the line, one user posted. Wasn't this the same man policing his daughter's doctor visits a few years back? Ouch, the internet never forgets. Still, the energy around this story was shifting. What began as humiliation was turning into evolution. The memes slowed down. The mockery faded. And for once, people weren't laughing at T.I. They were learning from him, and that's the irony. The same man who spent years lecturing the world finally taught the biggest lesson of his life by shutting up and feeling something real. The biggest takeaway? Vulnerability doesn't erase strength, it proves it. T.I. spent decades teaching his audience how to hustle, but it took losing his son's presence to teach him how to heal. In the days that followed, the Harris family was seen together for the first time since the farewell, attending a community event in Atlanta. No drama, no tension, just quiet coexistence. A photo of T.I. and King shaking hands, not hugging, not posing, shaking hands, went viral instantly. The caption under one repost said it best. The handshake that healed hip-hop. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't a fairy tale ending. But it was real, and after all the chaos, that's what people needed most. From dominance to humility. From control to connection. From king to father. This was T.I.'s rebirth, broadcast in high definition. And King Harris? He didn't disappear, he evolved. The boy who once shouted into cameras now speaks through his art. No longer chasing his father's approval, but finally earning his own. In the end, both men learned the same lesson, just from opposite sides of the crown. You can build an empire out of pride, but it takes love to keep it standing. So when people say T.I. broke down, nah, he broke open. And for the first time in a long time. That's exactly what made him real again. Now let's be honest, that wasn't just another celebrity story. That was an emotional documentary playing out live, with more raw energy than any scripted series Hollywood could dream up. We watched T.I., the man who built an empire on power and pride, finally face the one battle he couldn't out-talk, out-rap, or out-hustle: his own heart. King didn't just walk away from his father's shadow, he walked into his own spotlight. And that's what makes this story so powerful. It's not about fame or money. It's about growth, forgiveness, and the kind of humility that doesn't trend often in hip-hop. For once, the crown didn't matter, the connection did. But you already know how we do it here. Don't just sit there wiping imaginary tears like you're not emotionally invested. Hit that like button like you're dapping up T.I. after a therapy session. Smash subscribe before King drops another verse that has the whole internet crying again. And go wild in the comments. Did T.I. finally earn his redemption, or did King just rewrite the Harris legacy for good? Because over here on Trend Tattle, we don't just cover scandals, we dissect the drama, remix the emotions, and drag the truth out kicking and screaming. From rap royalty meltdowns to celebrity redemptions, we bring you the chaos that makes the culture spin. So turn those notifications on like it's the last text from your toxic ex, because tomorrow's headline? It's already brewing. Stay tuned, stay messy, and remember, in the kingdom of fame, crowns get heavy. But here at Trend Tattle, we make sure the tea never cools off.